Very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashinsani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Sri Lanka's economy to contract by 6.7% in 2020, World Bank stresses. Country's per capita income can only be doubled venturing into knowledge services, says technology expert. News in detail. World Bank states that Sri Lanka's economy is projected to shrink by 6.7% this year, recording the third highest economic contraction among the South Asian region economies. As per the South Asia Economic Focus Fall 2020 Beaten or Broken Informality and COVID-19 report of the World Bank, Sri Lanka's economy is projected to shrink by 6.7% this year due to the COVID-19 threat. The economy is expected to contract by 6.7% in 2020, with all key drivers of demand such as exports, private consumption and investment being affected. Sri Lanka grew 2.3% in last year, lower than expected at the beginning of the year, mainly due to the April Easter Sunday terror attacks. The report further states that the current account deficit is expected to remain low at 2.2% of GDP in 2020 because of low oil prices and strict import restrictions amid large foreign exchange shortages. Meanwhile, the highest economic contraction among the South Asian region economies in this year is projected in the Maldives, and it is reported to shrink by 19.5%. Moreover, a key finding of this report is that workers in the bottom and the middle of the income distribution, mostly in the informal sector, experience the largest loss in income. Meanwhile, the report said South Asia is set to plunge into its worst ever recession as the devastating impacts of COVID-19 on the region's economies linger on, taking a disproportionate toll on informal workers and pushing millions of South Asians into extreme poverty. The report also forecasts the sharper than expected economic slump across the region, with regional growth expected to contract by 7.7% in 2020 after topping 6% annually in the past 5 years. The Department of Pensions today launched a 4-point proposal under the Retirement for All plan, requesting the general public to contribute to it, providing their suggestions. Accordingly, the Retirement for All proposal was launched today at the Department of Government Information, coinciding with the National Retirement Day 2020, which fell today. This introduction was made in order to present the retirement benefits not only to the public service community but also to all working people in the country as part of the largest social security program in Sri Lanka. The Department of Pensions added that there are more than 653,000 recipients of the current pension scheme, which caters to a spending of nearly 300 billion rupees annually. In the meantime, the 4-point proposals of the Retirement for All plan are extending the existing retirement age for both the public and private sectors, introduction of a pension scheme for the private sector, securing the public service pension scheme, ensuring that all those who are not covered by the pension scheme will receive a pension benefit. Accordingly, the Department of Pensions noted that it wishes to obtain the views from the public through the email address samatavishramma@pensions.gov.lk. National People's Power parliamentarian Dr. Harini Amarasuriya illustrates that over the past few decades, the Parliament, which is the supreme legislative body of Sri Lanka, has failed to provide economic decisions that would equally facilitate the interest of everyone. Accordingly, NPP parliamentarian Dr. Amarasuriya brought forward these observations addressing the Parliament yesterday.
The issue here is that when we talk about the financial regulations policies, often we are talking about the importance of economic growth, where we argue across the aisle during which regime we achieved a higher level of growth. But the question that we fail to often answer is who actually benefits from these measures, whose lives have actually improved from these measures that we are debating and discussing here today. If we really look at the consequences of some of these measures, the consequences of some of these economic decisions that have been reached in this chamber, we can clearly see that not everyone has benefited equally, and in fact, some people, some communities' lives have deteriorated. If we look at these indicators, the conventional indicators that we use to measure economic success or economic prosperity, if we replace some of those indicators with looking at the well-being and the happiness of people in this country, we will have to acknowledge that over the last several decades, the lives of the majority of people in our country have, in fact, become more insecure, more uncertain, and more precarious.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman says that the Japanese government had provided Sri Lanka 16% grants and 14% foreign loans annually during last 10 years. Central Bank Governor made these revelations at a seminar organized by the Japanese Embassy in Sri Lanka on quality infrastructure in commemoration of the International Cooperation Day of Japan, which fell on last Tuesday.
The government of Japan has been one of Sri Lanka's key development partners and one of the largest bilateral donors. Japan's official development assistance, ODA, has come in the form of loans, grants, and technical assistance. In the most recent 10 years, say from 2009 to 2019, according to data provided by colleagues in the bank, Japan provided 16% of grants received by the government of Sri Lanka and 14% of total annual foreign loan disbursements. In earlier periods, Japan's contribution to Sri Lankan development was even higher quantitatively. However, FDI from Japan has been negligible despite attempts by the Sri Lankan government and private sector to entice Japanese investors into the country, a subject which needs to be probed into carefully.
Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman also added that Sri Lanka's exports to Japan under its GSP facility stood as 85 million rupees only in the last year. He also reminded that tea was the main export production to Japan from Sri Lanka.
In spite of the length of the period of relationships between us, Sri Lanka trade with Japan consistently remained in deficit against us. No doubt the structure of domestic production in Sri Lanka dictated that there was not much available to be sent in export to Japan. Under the GSP scheme of Japan, Sri Lanka's exports to Japan amounted to US $85 billion in 2019. Tea was the largest item exported to Japan under the GSP system. Meanwhile, coconut products, rubber products, chemical products, some garments, etc. were also exported to Japan under the GSP. Greater innovation and skill ought to be exercised by Sri Lankan entrepreneurs to find domestic products that can penetrate the sophisticated Japanese market.
Chief Executive Officer of 99X technology company Mano Sekaram stresses that the only way Sri Lanka can double its per capita income is by venturing into knowledge services. CEO of 99X Mano Sekaram made these observations at the revealing of its new visual identity and logo and a shorter variant of the company name at a recent event held in Colombo. 99X, the technology company, revealed its new visual identity and logo recently. Headquartered in Sri Lanka, 99X is a technology company co-creating well-engineered, innovative digital products in the Asian region and for the Scandinavian market.
It's the only way Sri Lanka can double its per capita income going to knowledge services. And if you look at the last 20 years, the Sri Lankan tech sector from $50 million of export has reached $1 billion. And thanks to respective government, they have been always supportive and let us grow within the space. So I think because this is not tea or something, this is traditional, right, businesses. It's new, it's a new economy, it's new way of doing. We send our software through internet, we don't have custom packed, something like mangoes or something, and it's high value. But what is important in our ecosystem is the university education, the brand name of Sri Lanka, and the quality what you have to maintain, and market access. So it's a combination of all three. And then, of course, innovation.
We'll be back with stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 171.32 points to close at 5,724.54 and the S&P SL 20 gained 44.26 points to close at 2,317.15. The turnover was 2.9 billion rupees and over 143 million shares were traded. Up next, the forex rates. With that, we are wrapping up news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care. Good night.